Okay, I'm going to talk with you about some different tools and tricks that may help you when you're creating your surrealist dreamscape in Photoshop. You're going to need to start with a landscape, so I got this one from Upsplash. If you want to use Google image search to find pictures, you can, because we're going to be altering them quite a deal, so they're not really copyright infringement, but you're going to put your search term in the search bar, go to images, and this is really important. You need to make sure that you find images that are large enough, high enough resolution. So you need to go to Tools, Size, Large, and make sure you're downloading large images. And if you can find one on a white background, that's ideal because you can easily cut out the background of this picture with the magic wand. You can drag from this search page. It's probably high enough resolution. You could also try clicking through to the biggest picture. So here I can find it on Wikipedia. I'm going to click through again. This one's probably even higher resolution. So I'm going to drag that one to my desktop. Or I can drag it from there right onto the Photoshop icon to get it open in a separate tab in Photoshop. So my idea was I was going to do some different foods on my landscape. I'm going to start with this orange, which I'll create a big moon or planet in the sky with it. So I'm going to select all of it to start. I could select all of it and then go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste, and then delete out the white, or I could just select let me just do this so you can see it. I could use the magic wand tool, select all of the white, and now it's not getting everything because I can see my tolerance is set to a really low number. This is like how much of the color it can see. I'm going to bring it up to like 25, and now it's selecting almost all of the white. It still has a little bit of stuff it's not getting, so if I wanted to make it even higher, let's try 35. All right, basically all of it. But I don't want to copy the white. I want to copy the opposite, the orange. So I'm going to select the inverse or opposite. Then I'm going to go to Edit, Copy. I can close this tab just to keep my workspace less confusing because I have this copied, and then in my background I'll go to Edit, Paste. Okay, so here's my orange. I want to make this look like it's a really big other planet in the sky. So I can do Edit, Transform to change the size, Transform Scale. I could go to Free Transform, or if you know the key commands, if I look here next to Free Transform, it's Command T. So as you get used to using those, you could do Command T. I'm going to make this bigger. It used to be that you'd have to hold Shift to keep it proportionate. Now it's the opposite. You just drag it to make it bigger. And then I want this to look like it's behind the mountains. So to do that, I'm going to cut out the part of the orange that I want to go behind the mountains. So I'm going to hide the orange layer. Just look at where it overlaps. So it overlaps about here on the mountains and here. I'm going to hide the orange. I'm going to go to the polygonal lasso tool, and I'm going to carefully go around the mountain edge here. I'm doing this a little quick for demonstration's sake, but if I was really being careful, I would zoom in really close to do this and be very, very detailed and very precise about how I'm going over the edge. Command plus zooms in, Command minus zooms out. So this is not as clean as I would like it to be, but I'm trying to go quickly. Alright, once I think I'm about to where that other layer is, let me zoom out again. I'm going to go kind of around so I get where the orange is overlapping on the mountains. And it might not be exact, but I can show you how to adjust that. But I do have along the mountains selected, so if I turn on layer 1, oh yeah, it's good enough. I want to cut out that part, so I want to cut out the opposite of what's being selected. So I'm going to go to Select Inverse again, I go to Edit, Cut, and now because that section's cut out, it's going to look like it's in the background. Now you can start to use some of these layer settings to try some different blending options. So I'll try some different settings. If I'm not happy with any of those, I can also try changing the opacity down. So if I turn down the opacity, I can blend it into the background a little bit more, or maybe a combination of those things. And I kind of like it opaque, but I also want to try making it a little darker and more saturated. So if you go to image adjustments, this is where you can change any color of any of your images. So image, hallway got really loud, hold on. Image adjustments, and I'm going to try either color balance or hue saturation. So if I do color balance, I want this to be like a little bit brighter maybe. Or no, I kind of like it more blue. So I'm just going to play around with these settings to see what I get. I'm also going to try image hue saturation, and I want the saturation to be bumped up a little. Okay. All right, I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave that for now and then go on to my next picture. So I want to make some little broccoli trees. I'm going to cut and paste this one a little differently to show you some options. So there's two broccoli on here. I'm just going to choose the one that I want. So I'm going around this one with the polygonal lasso tool, kind of rough. I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, go back to my background, Edit, Paste. It's a little small, but it's about the size I need. I'm going to zoom in, and I want to put this over here on my tree line. I'm going to get rid of the white by going to the magic wand tool and selecting on the white, and then going to Edit, Cut. Still a little left over. I'm going to select that, Edit, Cut. Looks pretty good. And now I need it to blend a little bit better. I can try some different layer settings here. Kind of like that one, the color dodge. And I could make multiples of this layer by dragging that layer to the broccoli layer onto the new layer button, and I could create another tree. So I'm going to go to Command T and make this one smaller. Maybe I want this one a little more in the front. I'm going to change that color dodge to normal. And I'm going to do image, what's going on? Image, adjustments, hue saturation. I'm going to make it a little bit more saturated and a little darker so it shows up a little better. Click OK. Okay, so you don't want every image to be super apparent. You know, some of them should fade into the background, some of them should be less noticeable. I want this one to fade into the background a little more, so I'm going to change the opacity a little. Let's do one more. So all of my images I'm working with have white backgrounds. If it didn't have a white background, then you're just going to have to be more careful about cutting it out. So I'd have to use a selection tool or the quick selection tool to go around. Let's try selecting the banana. Hold on. Select, deselect. If you make a mistake, you can always go to Edit, Undo, or Command Z. So I'm going to hold down Shift. You don't actually have to if it's connecting here. But if you ever want to add to a selection, hold down Shift. Okay, so I don't want to copy the white. I want to copy the banana, so I'm going to select the inverse. Then Edit, Copy. Close this. Go back to my background, go to Edit, Paste. It's too big. I'm going to go to Command T. Oops. Change the size. I'm going to rotate this. If you move your mouse around until you see this curve, this can allow you to rotate. And I'm going to make a little banana boat off of the distance. So I'm going to have it maybe about here. Click on the Move tool just to place it. I'm going to go to Command T or the magnifying glass to zoom in. 2 fingers to scroll down. And now I want this to look like it's in the water. So I'm going to use the freehand lasso tool this time. This freehand tool will allow me to draw with my lasso tool. So I'm going to kind of draw like a wavier line so it looks more like water. And I'm going to go around the bottom. I'm going to go to Edit, Cut. Alright, I think it's a little maybe too wavy here, so I can adjust that. And then I also want to blur the edge a little. Command X to cut. So if I zoom in I'm going to go to the blur tool, which looks like a drop of water. So remember, we've got blur tool, smudge tool, and you should be just experimenting with different tools and see what they do. If you make a mistake, that's fine. You can go back and change it, edit it, or undo. So this is blurring the edge. It's pretty subtle. I also want to erase a little part of this. I'm going to go to the eraser. I'm going to make it a little smaller. I'm going to leave it a little soft on the edge, so 40% hardness. Get rid of that little part there. So this would be another option. Just erase away part of it. Okay, I'm going to blur the edge of this a little bit too so it doesn't look so copy and pasted on. This is a really good trick for any of the pictures that you put on here. It's really subtle, but if you blur the edges of any of the layers you add in, they're going to look more like they belong in your picture and they're not ut and pasted. So I'm going to do the same thing on my orange. I'll do that for every layer. I'm just going to, I know you can't really see it from when I'm zoomed out, but that little bit of blurring really makes a big difference when you're looking at everything all together. Okay, so things to think about. The way your layers are stacked over here is how they're stacked in your picture. You want to know how to cut out parts of your pictures to make them look like they're merged with the background. Use image adjustments to try different things with color balance and color. What else? I'm going to try some image adjustments on my background here. Think about how you can layer things in the foreground, midground, and background. And not every layer needs to be, like a one item. Like it might be like incorporating like different lights or effects. I was thinking the next thing I might do is put some kind of lighting effect in the sky. But try all the different tools. See what you can come up with on your own that I haven't showed you. Dodge and burn is helpful for lightening or darkening areas of your image. But this will at least get you started, I think, when you're working on combining some images. Right?